Hey, and welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of Make It Monday. We are finishing up our bottle lamp, and just a little side note that because I said it needed 24 hours to dry. Well, it's been 24 hours. Now, I did a few modifications, which, where's my other piece here? There it is. I exchanged the dowel rod for a piece of PVC. And reason being, it wasn't seeming like it was going to harden up. So I decided to opt in for plan B. Now, if you notice, the dowel rod slides right down in there. And of course, you can tap this down over it, but here's what I did. I measured from this line right here to about underneath of the neck. You can see about how far that is. And then I cut it, put it in there, took my dowel rod, rubber mallet, and I just tapped on around the edge until I got it down center. And of course I used the hole that this came out of. Then, by hand, I took this large drill bit, stuck it down in there, just hand turned it to pull out the excess that filled the inside of the tube. And as I said, it wasn't hardening like it should, which you can tell that the top is still a little mushy. The rest of it a little more solid. It will dry. It's just, with it being inside the bottle, it's obviously going to take a little bit longer. But we're going to go ahead and run our wiring and everything because for the most part it is dry enough to do that. So what we're going to do, and what you're going to need, of course, drill bit. I recommend one of these. They're Hart brand, I believe. You can get them, I believe, at either Walmart or Harbor Freight. I think I got these at Harbor Freight pretty cheap. And it's, I believe, like a set of 3. And this drill bit just fits through, which is what we want for the bottom hole. Now, what I'm going to do, try to anyways, is I'm going to position the drill bit to where it's all the way down the bottom. Find my cord here. Step on it. Plug my drill in. One hand, hold the bottle, and then I'm just going to barely start squeezing the trigger. Making any progress? Shows we are. Well, that's always great. We succeeded. Now it's just a matter of getting it back out. Always have a good drill. This one, I mean, it's Black & Decker, it does pretty good. go. Now we're going to change our bit to our lid. Here for now. And on your second drill bit, you know, this is what's going to come up through the cap and feed into this tube. Now, you don't want to go bigger than that. So you take the drill bit, it literally fits just inside. This way, you know, you've got plenty of space to make the hole bigger. Because I've done the trick of putting one the exact size and it didn't work real well, so then, you know, same thing, you know, you're going to line it up. I've actually pre-drilled a hole, but just kind of work it up and down, a little side to side action. Then you got yourself a hole. Then what we're going to do is we're going to check our hole, which we need to go just a tad bigger with the hole, so we're going to check this drill bit, which is the same size as our big one. It's just bigger, so we're going to look for a smaller drill bit here. Let's see if this is going to be right, hopefully. Yeah, that should be it. So a little bit bigger. Make sure you get your bit nice and tight. And there we go, bigger hole. See if that works now. Yeah. This is probably run into. You notice I'm making sure to keep my fingers away from it, and I'm not going real fast with it. You gotta make sure you're being safe about it. Granted, that's probably not a real safe thing to do. Where did the pliers run off to? There they are. Just go. Make sure you, if you do this, have your threads with your threads here. That way you're less likely to mess up the thread. Then you just twist it in. Hopefully I'm on camera here. Earlier's video was, I was a little out of frame. Hopefully I'll get that fixed. Pardon. Now, one thing that you're going to want to do is see exactly how much thread you have to work with, because this is your base here. You're going to be looking inside right there's your stop point. So now we can take this all that way down. And typically it's good to have a marker around. Just mark around the base of it there. And then you can unscrew it for the time being, because we still got another thing to put on top of it before we secure it down. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to twist until we get to that line. We're going to stop right there. That way we've got that much sticking up above for everything to fit on, which we're actually going to turn it back the other way just a couple turns here, because we've got to have room for the washers and the lampshade. So we're actually going to give it about that much room. Should look like that. Now then, it comes with these little bottle hole stoppers. Of course, now our line is off. And we didn't come directly out where we needed to either. That makes me sad a little. But that is now going to be the back end. So we're going to go ahead and feed our wires up through that. And if you're wondering what this piece of wood is, it's another idea I had. We may do it in another video. This is just to finish up video 1. So, I mean, you can always take a piece of log like this, turn it into a base, you know, take a flapper wheel, just center it, because, I mean, that's roughly the same size. So what you do, center it up, of course, you know, get your 4 decking screws and just 4 points, screw it to your table. That way it doesn't go anywhere. Just turn it on until you get, you know, level it out, of course. And once you've got it leveled out, then you just kind of hold it in place until you can wallow out a little rim to be able to set that down in. And then, of course, you know, you'll mark your hole, drill a hole straight down all the way through, and then you'll drill one through the side, like right here, to the center. That way, you've got a place to run your wire out. And I mean, we're actually going to end up having to do that, I'm sure, but just for demonstration purposes. What we're going to do, clear out the bottom of the hole, and just feed the wire until it comes out the top. Be like that right there. And of course, considering that this bottle has these little notches, your wire goes right through there without crimping it, which is helpful. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that, I mean, the wire is already split, but just give it a little extra, because sometimes it can be difficult. Let's see which is our negative and which is our positive here, because some cables have it on there. Granted, it may be a little hard to tell. Of course, this may be a universal cord. Let's check the prong. Yeah. Okay, so this is the one that's flared out. That's your positive, I do believe. You want to follow that one on around. That one going up, so that is connected tube. That side. So this will be our positive, and of course, back to this. Of course, it's not going to fit. Don't need it to fit. What we do need, however, is a little hex nut. What we're going to do, we're going to thread that little booger on there. Pliers. Make sure it's good and tight because we don't want it going nowhere. And we're going to feed our wires up through here. And they provide these little spacer washers, and of course, you know, they're two different sizes. You've got the bigger one and a smaller one. We're going to go with the bigger one. And what we're going to do, feed it through just like that. Quick sits down on there. And then we're going to place that piece. Oh dear. Oh, yeah. Okay. Never mind. Of course, if you don't want to drill the hole through the center, do the PVC and all that, you know, that's fine. You don't have to. You can always use this little port right here to run the wires up through from the outside of the bottle. So now we're going to pull up at least that much and just feed our wire back down through. Screw a lid on. Now, if you notice how that's turned, well, just turn it like that. Get a little extra because you want to keep this as the back of your lamp. Now, what we're going to do, this is your switcheroo there. It'll clamp down in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out. Flathead screw. I know I have one. I had one. flathead available. What you're going to do is you're just going to, which, I mean, you can use a Phillips too, but I like using a flathead for this one. You're going to screw it about that much, either side. And of course you notice one's brass, the other one's silver. Find the, okay, this is going to be our hot. Hot is your brass. And what you want to do, have it on the bottom side, and you're going to hook it around just like that. And the reason is because when you tighten it, it keeps that direction. Get it nice and snug down on there. Then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. Now you're going to take your casing, put it like that. And this should be the off position. So now you just feed your wire back down through, keeping it straight. You're just going to push it in place until you hear it click. 1 second, let me get the light bulb. I believe this one works. So, let me just get a fresh bulb. 1 second. Alright, brand new bulb, so screw it down in good. We want to plug it in. Plug it back. Oh, okay, so that was the on position. But you see it works. And if you need to adjust it any, just a little twist. And of course, then you've got this piece here. And to install it, see these sliding little rings right here, you just hold them back. Squeeze it until it locks over in place. Just like that. Slide those down. And of course then, it's just a matter of picking the lampshade that you want. And once you do, get one that, you know, screws down on top like so, and voila, you have yourself a lamp. And that's basically it, folks. I mean, easy peasy lemon squeezy, as they say. And then you got you a nice little decorative lamp. I mean, me personally, I don't know what particular lampshade I would put on it. And of course, I mean, you don't have to use this. You could get one that sits right on the bulb itself and be totally fine. But you have a working lamp. Now, I would leave it where it still has time to dry because, of course, you know, like I said, it's still a little mushy, still a little wet. I mean, it seems that it might be still leaking a little glue. That's lovely. Of course, you can always take a hot glue gun, you know, glue, seal the bottom up, or, well, honestly, you could use some caulking, even. You know, shoot that around the hole, you're good to go. But there you have it. Now you got yourself a bottle lamp. And I mean, you could just fill it with sand, you know, no glue, you know, anything to add weight to it, and then just use that instead of drilling a hole through it. But that's how you make a bottle lamp, or at least one way to make a bottle lamp. Now, I've actually made another lamp from an old lamp. One second, I'll set that to the side there. Just one second. Alright, here's a couple of other options that you can do. It's a little dusty, but this is a 2-liter pop bottle and some pipe cleaners. And I mean, it's just simple. And of course, you know, I've made use of the little rubber stopper there on the back side of this one instead of on the bottom. And I mean, it's hand painted. I'll show you that it works. Unplug the new lamp. And of course, I mixed some glow-in-the-dark paint with it to where it'll glow. And of course, this one is one that, you know, you have to put the lampshade on, take the bulb out, put the lampshade on before you screw the bulb in, which is another option. I mean, there's endless possibilities that you can do when you put your mind to it. Set this over here. And this next one, it's a little more complicated. It needs a little more room here. But I'm actually pretty proud of this one. A buddy of mine gave me the pieces to give it a shot. Now, this was from a broken lamp. The original lamp broke. This is the stand for it. And he had given me a burl off a tree as a future project, something to play with. One second, Miss Cricket is trying to get into the studio. And of course this one, you know, is got the same kind of similar setup as the one we just made. Of course, this is the original lampshade that came with it. He was at a garage sale that fell off and broke, and the lady gave it to him. But I took a tree branch that I had laying around, and with my long drill bit, I just drilled the center of it out. And then I kind of took my belt sander here and just tapered the bottom piece here to fit it down in the burl to where it'd be flush with the bottom. Next, what I did after I got all that put together is I didn't sand any of this. I took some epoxy resin. As a matter of fact, get my small cup here. I mixed about that much, a little more than what I actually needed. And then I took just a run-of-the-mill cheap paintbrush, dipped it in the resin, and I just brushed it on until I filled in all the little cracks. And of course I put sealer on it first, spray sealer. It didn't give me the look I was looking for, so that's when I moved to the resin. And the resin, once it hardens, it's hard as a rock. It's pretty solid. And of course, yes, it does equal a little more weight, but that's okay. Get it all put together, run the wiring back up through, hooked it up just like I showed you with this one. But I sealed it. And of course, epoxy resin's messy. Wherever it lands, once it's dry, it's there. So you got to keep that in mind when you're working with resin. Make sure you have some place that you can set it to where if it drips, it's okay. And of course, every few hours I would come out and try and make sure that, any drips along the bottom, and of course I missed one, which it could be sanded, which honestly, when it's sitting on the table, you're really not going to see it. But that's another option. Now, another option, one that I've built, which it's too heavy and cumbersome to be going grabbing and bringing out here, it is a pyramid lamp. And that's actually how I came up with this, was the way I did the sand for that. It was just the clear gravel and sand mixed together, glue, layer sand, glue, layer sand. But I will say it was a different type of glue. It wasn't Elmer's. It was another clear glue that we had in the craft section. I no longer have the bottle because I used the whole bottle on this project. So, maybe not use Elmer's. Maybe use something, some other type of glue that, dries quick. That way, it's solid. And, you have less issues. It's something to play around with. Yeah, it's kind of expensive to play around these days because materials are not cheap. All the materials to do this cost me roughly around $40. Granted, you can go to the store and buy any lamp for a whole lot cheaper, but if you want something unique that nobody else has, make your own. Just like this piece right here. Never seen anything close to it. So, I made it. And everybody that's seen it so far, they think it's awesome. They can't believe that, you could actually do something like that. But that's just a few examples of what else you can do to make a lamp. If you've got a lamp that was a glass lamp, it broke, take the metal stem out. If it's got a base, use the base. Got some wood laying around, use it. You can literally make anything you want to, any way you want to, because it's your project. And that's something that I like to make sure people understand. It's your project. Bad Chad says it all the time. Make it. Just get in there and do it. Come up with an idea, go for it. And when you're making stuff by hand, it's yours. Do it how you want it. I'm just showing you one way to do it. You could sit there and research all day, figure out a better way, maybe even have a cooler looking bottle. Style, color choice, it's all up to you. And that's what makes it yours, is what you do with it. And honestly, the world right now needs a lot more of that. It needs more creativity. And I know that's getting a little political there. I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But I'm just saying, if more people share their ideas like this. They could, and I mean, there's people out there that they absolutely don't care what the end result looks like. They just want to see it being done. And, you know, for YouTubers like myself, you know, creative folk, you know, that brings us joy making stuff like this. There's times that, yes, it's absolute headache, and I'll be the first one to admit it. It's an absolute headache. But when you've got the finished product in front of you, you know, put it aside for a little while if you're not happy with it, and then come back later. And I mean, it's not like you have to just throw it away. I mean, am I happy with the way it's looking? Not particularly, but I mean, I could take the wire bulb and all that off, take it outside, shoot it with a coat of paint, and make another minion lamp if I wanted to. You know, minus the pipe cleaner arms. And originally I thought about showing y'all how to make a minion lamp, and I thought, well, I'll just make this, show it later, and then, you know, people, if they want to make it, they can figure it out themselves, you know, using this as a base model, knowing the basics of what they need to do. And I mean, like I said, whatever you want to make, it's totally up to you. You know, how you make it, it's your decision. Now, if you're making it for somebody else, yeah, you know, if they're asking you to make it for them, then yeah, you got to make it the way they want it. But it doesn't mean you can't put just a tiny bit of your own flair in it. And that's something to keep in mind, folks. I mean, crafts is crafts. I mean, you make what you want to make, do it how you want to do it. You know, take things that you've seen here and apply it to make something of your own. You know, totally different. I mean, use a Gatorade bottle, a 2-liter pop bottle. I mean, a glass jar, for crying out loud, if you feel so inclined. It's whatever you want to do it. Of course, I'm rambling on. Apologize. Take after my grandpa on that. But just know that you can literally make anything you want to. You just got to figure out how to put it together. Make sure you're safe. Make sure you can afford to do it. And have fun with it. That's what it's all about. Having fun with it. Because it's a load of fun making something. I mean, I've even turned a Pringles can, some spaghetti lids, some coat hangers, and a milk jug, and a pop can, and a little liquor bottle into a train lamp. It looks like an old steam locomotive. I even put cotton in the stack and got it coming out with a pipe cleaner through the middle of it. Make it look like it's running. Popsicle sticks and coat hanger for a railroad track for the base. My stepdad loved it. He thought that was the greatest thing ever. So, that's going to wrap up our Make It Monday. And to see how to do this, to make a base for it, well, you're just going to have to come back. Because that's probably going to be in another video. Granted, it may be down the road because I already have something planned for next Monday. But until then, as always, you know what I say. Much love. Rock on. Peace out, y'all. Have a blessed day. Oh, like, subscribe, and share on YouTube, here on YouTube, and on Facebook. Like and follow our page there so you can stay up to date with everything. And make sure your notifications are on. That way you don't miss a single video. Until then, later, y'all.